we have with us a new artist in town called Todo Paintal, who is, according to her, approaching 80. According to me, not so much. This is her first exhibition, although she has been painting, she says now for, Todo, how long have you been painting for?
I've been painting since I got married, that is in 1962. Since then I've been painting, but it wasn't kind of, guided by anybody or any attending of classes. It is just my own effort to do it at home, just to pass my time and, lots of other things. And I started to paint, and my husband encouraged me a lot in this because he thought I had some aptitude for it, which I was not aware of really. But I do come from a family of art lovers, where my sisters painted and they could sing very well. And we were encouraged a lot by our parents.
So what's kept you going?
I beg pardon?
What's kept you going? I mean, as you say, you've been painting for, I think I counted 50 years in your statement.
Yeah, Ritika, I'll tell you what kept me going was that in the army, my husband's from the army, Ahmad Kaur, and there used to be long separations. There would be exercises, there would be non-family stations, there would be wars, and all this while a wife is just left alone to fend for the children and for herself. And there is a lot of anxiety in her mind because those days there were no mobile phones, none of that happened. And often for days on end, we never got any news of the husband, nor they got ours. So the anxiety was there to keep myself busy and keep my mind healthy. I'd turn to paint.
I can imagine. And I think you said that your husband fought 2 wars during this time as well.
Yes, two wars in the thick of war, Chamb and Sialkot. So that was that thing I haven't been able ever to forget. And I cannot even talk about it. Even today, I cannot talk about it, and I cannot see a war movie. It's a very strange thing because at that time we only had a landline, and it was so difficult to get any news about your husband. And I knew where he was, and my brother-in-law was the headquarters, and he was just to prepare me for any eventuality. They would keep on saying, you should be brave, you should be this, you should be that, but nothing helped except prayers. We pray a lot.
So your painting kept you going through that time, and your 3 children.
Yes. Painting helped me in a very big way, not during wars, because at that time the mind was too preoccupied with news and nothing else. But otherwise, during separations, long separations, non-family stations, it helped me in a big way.
So, through this huge period of your painting, but deciding not to exhibit, and you've got a huge body of work. You've literally got this huge body of work, which I've seen a very little bit of during this show, which is fabulous. From your still lifes to your portraits to your landscapes, you've done this different types of things. What have been your influences, really? Have there been any influences?
I'll tell you, Ritika, why there's such a lot of variety is because, my husband has had 15 postings and I have changed 25 houses. So you can see how much I have interacted. All those influences come to your mind when you're painting, they become a part of your life. And it shows in your canvas. That's why there's such a lot of variety. Anything and everything inspires me. Like a flower, if I see a nice flower, or I go for a walk and I see flower beds, they inspire me. I see a nice butterfly. After ages, you see butterflies these days. They're so beautiful. And the horses and the rural people inspire me a lot, the Indian rural people. The farmers, the women, the way they are so, the rustic in their behavior, their clothing, the color combinations that they wear, the jewelry that they wear. It is just beautiful. That does inspire me. These are the influences that of the environments, but the influences of the artists have been, well, I've been very fond of. My favorite old, the bygone ones are Van Gogh and Amrita Shelby. I'm very fond of these two. Yes, and well, Picasso, Hussein, Monet. They, I don't like heavy art. I like light art really, and these are really, really beautiful. Like I probably not some dark colors and stuff like that. They don't appeal to me. And Bengal School of Art, jo, they kind of glorified poverty. Never that. I somehow stay away from that. That kind of a thing doesn't influence me. And then of the present, who influenced me was Anjali. First, I went, yes, Anjali Menon. I first time when we got married, we went to Madras. That was our first station, and there was Mr. Srinivaslu, who was the head of the department of the government college there, and he was, I think, and I'm not too sure, he was a national award winner, very seasoned artist of the Germany type, that time. He taught me, and he took the pains of coming home to teach me, which was such a big privilege at that time. But again, there was no continuity at all, because there was a posting. Again, we were out of Madras. Then Dehradun, there was one academy. Just went there for 2-3 days. I didn't like it at all. Wherever we went, I would first go and inquire about an academy, art academy, but it just never happened. Then when my husband got posted to Wellington for the staff college, that's where I met Anjali. And she took me on as a student, and I really liked her art, and I liked the way she taught me. That had a very lasting and a deep influence on my mind. And for a few years, I tried to copy her style and her colors and everything. But then later on, I found my own way to do things. Never tried to develop a style, but it somehow started to differ from her. Automatically started to differ from her. That's how I. And who? Yes, Paramjit. I love his work. Paramjit's work I like very much. And now V. Ramesh. He does beautiful work, very complicated but very beautiful work. And his colors are also lovely.
So these two artists you mentioned are watercolor artists.
I beg pardon?
Ramesh and
Ramesh.
Watercolor artists. So
they do all kinds. No, Paramjit does a lot of oil.
Okay.
Beautiful oils. He does big, large canvases of the landscapes, his trees, his autumn. All these are really lovely. And Ramesh does a lot of modern art. He is influenced by Indian poetesses of the bygone era. He has read a lot about them, and he likes to depict that, and does it beautifully. Watercolors, thick watercolors, does very well. Then, influences, I would say something more, Ritika. My daughter, she has been a passionate collector of art. And then she started to have these small exhibitions in Visakhapatnam, started to have camps, would take the artists abroad. And I was part of some of her, tours abroad. And to meet, interact with such great artists, you learn so much just by talking and just by listening to what they are saying and how they are imbibing the art in their present that time work. It left a very big impression on me. So, and this time also, she is pushed me into doing this solo show.
That's actually what I find most impressive, because you are doing you're doing your BA in fine arts right now, or
yes, I'll tell you now. After I ran a Montessori school for about 34 years. After retiring, there also I was in touch with art because I love doing the chart work. whoever could not do the chart put, I said, look, give it to me, I'll do it for you. And I did a lot of work there also. That's how I remained in touch. But that art was illustrations, like Mahabharata, and how we would teach the children Mahabharata. I made 22 panels of it. It was from Amar Chitra Katha. Yes, I did. And yes, and many times the alphabets I would write myself with little, painting around it. So this is how I remained in touch. But after the school shut, I left the school. I wanted to do it in a proper, guided, methodical manner. This, what I had been doing was very haphazard. Kahin kuch kiya, kahin kuch. There was no methodology at all. There was no system at all. I did what came to my mind. Very temperamental in picking up stuff. Anything would just I would pick up and start doing. So I joined this college of, this is called the Delhi College of Art, which is run by Mr. Ashwini Kumar Prithvivasi. He calls himself Prithvivasi because he says, I don't belong to any color, creed, religion, caste. I am a resident of this world. He explains, when you join the college. So he runs a very good, many branches. With the main one is Rajouri Garden and Safdarjung Cave. I joined that as a hobby course to give myself that trial period, if I can do it at this age. That was 75. So I joined, and I quite successfully completed the hobby course. Then I asked the teacher there if I can do the advanced fine arts course, which is pretty serious. So this, yes, you can do it. So I started doing this. This is the 4th year of that, and it's finishing February. And I have learned so much, all the mediums I have learned. And the thing is that he has channelized my previous experiences of the painting to a certain standard, where I've been able to put up a solo show. And that writing there, that one step at a time, you don't know where you're going, whether it's the right or the wrong, till you have reached the top of the mountain and you realize, oh, I have reached. Well, I have reached there, but I would never say that the learning has finished. That will keep on and on. Otherwise, one stops growing. If you stop learning, you stop growing. So I will always stay in touch with this teacher who has taught me so much.
And what do you prefer working in? Oils or watercolors, or what's your medium of choice?
It's a very strange thing. I just love any medium. Like mountains I've done in oil color, the flowers I've done in water, some landscapes I've done in acrylic, some pencil sketches. I just love every medium. I try my hand out. I like variety, Ritika. I cannot be bound to one thing. That's about it, about me. Whether it's a subject, whether it's a medium, whether it's a paper. Those flowers that I've done, they were a wedding card, and I just cut it, and the back of the wedding card, I made the flowers, and it came out so well. And the teacher asked me, what paper have you used? So I told him I've used a wedding card, the back of a wedding card. So this is what it is with me. I'm unpredictable in my choice of subjects, my choice of medium, my choice of paper, colors, everything. But when I start doing, I'm very serious about what I'm doing. That I want it to be nice, and I always compare my latest with the previous work. Has it improved? That is in me. I have to do better than the previous.
But how can you compare a still life to a landscape and decide which one is better?
I'll tell you how. The lines, the colors, like a still life has very definite lines that you have to use. A landscape may not have, but a tree would have lines in a landscape. So you just see, is it neater than the previous one? Is it conveying more than the previous? Of course, it's difficult to compare, landscape with a still life. but the work should be better than the previous one. That can show कि इससे अच्छी painting बनी है. That I try and do that. Let's see if I'm what the life has in store.
So out of this entire show, which is literally, as you said, 50 years of work being shoved into these paintings.
Yeah, in this 1.5 year, compressed into this pandemic period, which I've used to the fullest.
So what is your favorite work in this exhibition?
Okay, I'll tell you. I like the horses very much. Spent about 6 months on them because I'm very fond of horses. My husband belonged to Amadco, and previously it was called Cavalry. There's a lot of talk of horses and stuff. And I belong to a family where there was a farm and there were a couple of horses. Not too many, just couple. So you do keep Punjab में तो वैसे भी tongas वगैरह होते थे पहले. So you do know the structure of the horse. But I was very fascinated by horses because this fellow Hussain does beautiful horses. But I didn't want to copy. I didn't want to have any style of anybody who has already done horses. So when I started this painting, I was very consciously trying to have my own horses, but not copy of anything. So that's what I did. And the colors had to be real horse colors, not anything else. And supposing an army guy comes and sees, he says, what has this Mrs. Pentel made? It's not a nice horse. This at once know ki this horse looks like a mule, or this one looks like that. So horses, you can't go wrong. You just have to make them properly, and the colors. And also, Mr. Ashwini, during pandemic, he couldn't guide. But every time I would do something, I would send it to him. And he would tell me, this place is empty, put another horse there. Oh, another horse, how do I do that now? But I did. Then there is one painting of the perspective, where a lady is sitting and looking out of the window. My favorite pastime is that I love to sit before a window, have a cup of tea, read a book, and look out of the window. But it should be a good scene, of course, not that we had gone to Bhutan and our room was so located that it overlooked the hills and the river and the fields. That just stuck to my mind. And so when we had to do the perspective painting, Mr. Ashwini asked us that, what do you like most? So I said, this is what I like. He said, okay, put it on the canvas then. So all of us did our, ideas on the canvas, each so different from the other. And this was mine. There was another girl, Garima. She helped me in the perspective part a bit, because the moment I thought that this is not the proper thing, I would ask her, please help me. But in pandemic, you could not meet anybody. Everything had to be, by way of on the Zoom or on the phone. So there was no help coming as such. It was just an idea they would give, and you correct it yourself. Okay, that's it.
So do you actually prefer the horses to the pictures of your family? I hope Tunti is not going to watch this.
No, Ritika, I love the family pictures also. I'm telling you, I'm so fond of variety. I love them. Tunti, Yuvraj, my husband, they are, well, and each done during pandemic. Each have been done during pandemic. Yuvraj was in quarantine when I did it. He was, poor thing, would sit in the balcony and have a cup of tea by himself, and all of us would be on the other side of the house. So I just clicked him and I did his painting. Couldn't talk to him at all. He had come from Malaysia, and it was so difficult to talk to him. And my husband, this is how he spent his time during pandemic, on the roof, reading a book, walking there, doing yoga there. And Tunti, she would spend coffee time with us. Every day she would come and spend a couple of hours with us, and this is how she would sit with that. So this is all pandemic work.
It's very beautiful. You obviously made good in the pandemic, unlike the rest of us.
Yeah, really it has helped me evolve myself into a better worker, a painter, and helped me pass the time. Otherwise, it was so difficult to pass the time. All that was happening around was too sad.
I mean, you've been through 2 wars, and for me, this was literally the first war I've been through. But
yeah, wars were terrible. Wars were, I can't even talk about the wars. I didn't know that I would get so, so touched by them even now. That day somebody talked to me and I just broke down. I said, oh God, at this age I'm breaking down in front of a youngster. Very wrong. I controlled myself, composed myself, but I realized that day that it's such a raw wound. Such a raw wound.
But my next question, I love asking this of you, especially because you insist you are, as I said, you insist you're over 75.
Okay.
Which is, what next?
Oh yes, what next? बता सब कुछ तो बता दिए हाँ जी पूछिए ऋतिका you seem to be enjoying it
I like this conversation because I said there's a whole body to choose from. It's not somebody who is just got one tiny thing to show. You've got 50 years to talk about, so that makes it enjoyable.
Yes, I have.
So now that you've almost completed a BA, what next? Are you planning to teach? Are you planning to do more exhibitions? Where do we see your work next? What's next?
Ritika, I don't want to teach at all. I've had enough of that. Saturation has happened. I cannot. But painting, I want to do a lot of painting. In fact, these 10-15 days that I've been very busy with the show, I've been missing it so much. My desk is right next to my bed. And early morning when I get up, I first take a pencil and start drawing something, some sketch or something, so that, the day starts with that. Really starts with that. Paat puja baad mein, pehle So this is how it starts. And but I have a very bad habit that if I am on a painting longer than 2-3 days and I'm stuck on it, I get very bored. So I just have to keep it away for a couple of months, then restart. That bores me. I cannot be on a painting for too long. It has to start and finish. And none of that, 20, 25 दिन एक करते हाँ. The horses I took 6 months because it's such a large painting. You have to stand, you have to sit, you have to stand on a stool. So that took me very long. But other paintings, not more than 15 days. I couldn't take more than 10-15 days. All these mountains, they 10-15 days.
That shows how much practice you put in if you can do that in that much time.
Yeah, but Ritika, our teacher does a 6x6 in 3 hours and a proper painting. He is so good. We are so influenced by him. कहाँ से क्या कर देते हैं पता भी नहीं लगता. It's amazing how, but he is not known much because people just probably never talk about him. But I made it a point. I said, look, I have to tell where I have been. My mind has been channelized. He is the one who has channelized all my previous experiences of painting into the state that I am now. Without his help, I would have still been, fumbling.
That's your greatness, that you're giving your credit to your teacher.
Yes, I have to do it. And to Anjali, who inspired me initially. That was also very, very nice of her. And she took personal interest. Sometimes she would come home to check. It's such a busy person. Twice she came home to see my work. When I would do 5-6 works, I would say, and she would come and see.
Standing on the shoulders of great people makes people great, I guess.
Thank you, Ritika. Thanks a lot. And I never knew that I would be exposed to so much of media at all. I wasn't ready at all for this kind of interviews. But well, it's fine. I think I've been able to cope with them.
Thank you so much. It's been very kind of you to take this time out.
Thank you so much, Ritika. I've enjoyed this Zoom conversation with you, really. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.